Hey everybody, welcome to the informational video and meeting. If you weren't able to make it to our gathering yesterday because it's finals or because you're an alumni or something of that sort, I wanted to give you a presentation really quickly that we did yesterday about our upcoming trip in 2026 with OBU to Israel. We had been planning to do this trip for several years, as many of you know, but my wife and I had a baby after we went to Israel. And then, alas, the last couple of years have been blockaded due to the war. So we haven't been able to go to Israel during that period of time either. We've got the green light to go next year in 2026 of May. And so what we needed to do was do this informational meeting so that way anybody that's interested in going can go ahead and sign up, as it were, or apply to go. And then we will begin our payment plans in August. And so let's delve into this. I want to walk you through the trip and show you some great pictures that we've taken over the time being in Israel. And then we'll discuss the bits about finances and how you can go about paying for your class. All right, let's delve into this. And so we're going to Israel in May of 16 through 29 in 2026. So that's roughly, I think 12 days, maybe 13 days in total on ground. Of course, it's padded on either side by a day of travel. It does take a long time to get to Israel because it's quite literally the other side of the world from where we are. But nevertheless, we'll fly together and we will get there on that way. What you see there before you is the QR code where you could potentially download the brochure that goes with this trip and this presentation. It's more in paragraph style than what we're doing in this presentation now. And so go ahead and download that. You can have it in PDF, brochure style, and you could reflect on that as we go through the video. What's unique about how I have planned for us to do Israel as OBU is I've planned for us to go to Israel and walk around in chronological order. So we will not do the sprint to every holy spot type of a trip that many of you have heard of, or maybe your church has done, or you've gone and done such with other groups. We're going to go and we're going to take our time and we're methodically going to move, and wherever we go to, we're going to stay. So we're going to be moving almost daily where we are sleeping, and so that's going to be a unique venture as well. But I like this because we're going to walk through the Bible as we walk through the Holy Land and see these things. This is a great quote that I had seen and once saw. The view of Jerusalem is the history of the world. It is more than that. It is a history of the earth and of heaven. And of course, it doesn't sound like great English because it's translated. His first language is not English. But when you go through Israel, you not only learn about the biblical Israel of the Bible, but we will be discussing the Arab conquest, the Crusader conquest. We'll be talking about the British Mandate period, the formation of modern Israel, and then the ongoing conflict between Palestine and Israel. These are realities that we will need to discuss for safety reasons, but also for historical context as we travel throughout the country. We will go to every major, quote unquote, major holy site while we are there. We're there long enough that we will be able to see it all. And if you notice on the slide here, we have a map of all of the tracings of us going about Israel. It's going to be intense. We will begin at the Ben Gurion airport, then we'll go north a little ways, and then we'll begin heading southward and up and around and back again over our time period being in Israel. So let's begin. After we've landed in Israel, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to what's called the Negev, as you see it here. The Negev is, for lack of better terms, a beautiful preserve where you can actually see what Israel/Canaan was like before Abraham and the patriarchs were in the land. And as you can see there, it's beautiful, it's lush, it's green. This is the territory where there's goats and mountain ram goats and olive trees and all kinds of things that grew naturally and were there at the time of Abraham coming. And so we'll begin by going from Ben Gurion up there, as you see number 1 in the Rishon Telshin. We'll go up there to that territory, and we will take you to a wildlife preserve. On this wildlife preserve and territorial preserve, we will see all of the flora and fauna that is mentioned in the Bible, and we'll continue to run into it throughout our time in Israel, I promise. But what we'll do is we'll take some time looking at cedars and what cedars are there, what are olive trees there. We'll let you pick olives, and I'm going to encourage you not to try eating the olive fresh off the tree. It's horrible. It'll make you throw up. Olives have to go through a pressing, they have to go through a maturing, they have to go through an aging process for it to become the beautiful olive oil that we love to cook our fish and other things in. And so we'll actually do that. We'll go there, we'll let you try to herd some goats, we'll let you pick some olives, we will then take the olives to a press, we will then crush them under stone, press them, and put them into vats. That way the oil can then be aged and then purified again so that you get what is called quote unquote virgin olive oil, that beautiful oil that is so rich in flavor and good tasting. Our first night, since we are moving about the country, well, I'm going to take you over to the Med, and we're going to stay at a resort on the edge of the Mediterranean, and we'll go swimming. We're going to swim at least 4 times throughout the trip of being in Israel. So you will need a bathing suit, and we can discuss what types of clothing is required whenever we get further on in the presentation. But it is the desert. And so swimming is always a nice reprieve to get out of the heat and enjoy it there. And the Mediterranean in Israel is beautiful. It's the bluest water I've ever seen. I've been to the Bahamas and to Jamaica and to Curacao and places like that. I'm telling you, the Med in Israel is the bluest water that I've ever seen in my life. And so it's beautiful. You'll get to see that and enjoy that there. So we'll go to the Mediterranean. We'll go swimming in that night, and we'll begin discussing, this is where the Philistines came in, because as you know, if you've taken my classes, the Philistines were the Greeks left over from the Peloponnesian Wars. And so we'll just kind of imagine them invading, and we'll talk about how that went down in that time and place. So these are some of the things we'll see whenever we're in the Negev. Of course, the goats, Black Sinai sheep. We'll see olives, which we'll take over to that press that's on the right-hand side, and we'll let you press some olives and let you see how olive oil is formed. And so this is the land before the patriarchs arrived, essentially. So then we'll move further south, and we'll begin talking about the patriarch life period. And so in the patriarchal period, what we see is a lot of our patriarchs, such as Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they're building wells, digging wells, as it were. They're living out in the desert, not just the Negev. And so we're going to go down, and we're going to take you to these different places that you see noted here of Beersheba. We're going to go to some Bedouin tents like you see on the right-hand side. We'll take you to the Nabatean city. We're going to take you to Paran, in the wilderness of Paran. These are places that are noted very well. And so essentially for the next few days in Israel, we're going to talk about Bedouin life. And in fact, Israel has several tribes of Bedouins that still live there. They live in tents, exactly as you see. They use camels to get around. They herd goats and sheep out in the wilderness. They get water from rocks. They get things that fall from heaven to eat. And so we'll look into Bedouin culture, and we'll read the stories of Exodus and Numbers and the patriarchs, and we'll think about that, and we'll think about Jesus being out in the wilderness as well as we do that. And so likewise, we'll then move into what is called the Dead Sea region. That's a beautiful picture we got of the Dead Sea there. The Dead Sea, of course, is the lowest sea on earth. It is absolutely salty. It is so salty. That's not sand that you see in the picture. That's actually salt. It is so salty that regardless of how hard you try, you just float on the water. It is impossible to sink in the Dead Sea. And so we'll go there, we'll swim in the Dead Sea. Again, we're going to get into water to cool off as often as possible. And so the Dead Sea region is down there with 3, 4, and 5 on our map. So we'll head down, and then we'll come back up to the right-hand side with 6, 7, and 8. And so these are our days as they're listed there and our stopping points. And so while we're down there, we're going to discuss, where is Mount Sinai? We're going to talk about the wanderings in the wilderness. We're going to be looking at the wilderness of Zin. And then we're going to go over to what we might call an oasis. See, the Middle East has these caverns like this on the left-hand side, and that particular canyon is Zin Canyon. Well, these canyons, what little rainfall Israel gets, it forms, and if you keep walking the canyon, ultimately you'll land exactly where we're going to spend 3 days. That is this place right here, which is called Kfar Hotim. And Kfar Hotim is an ancient oasis. As you can tell, it's green and lush and has water in the midst of that. desert place. And while we're at Kfar Hotim, you will actually stay in a tent like this. We will ride their camels. We will kill some goats and grill them. We'll do all these fun things, and then we'll hear them sing Bedouin songs that have been sung for quite literally thousands of years. They will tell us stories, much akin to, for instance, like, the Arabian stories of old that Aladdin is based off of and things of that sort. It's just great fun to sit out there under the stars, and you'll see more stars in this place than you probably have ever seen in your lifetime, unless you've gone with Dr. Ben Baxter out to the west to look at the Milky Way in the middle of the night. So we'll be there, we'll stay in these tents, we'll be in Bedouin culture, we'll be together, and so it'll be great fun in the desert. And so we'll stay in the desert for several days at that tent, and from there we're going to voyage out to the Dead Sea to go swimming once in a while, and also we're going to voyage further into the wilderness, and we're going to go to a couple places that I think are quite important. One is Masada, and the other is to Qumran. Masada, though not mentioned in the Bible, is actually a portion of our biblical history. Masada was a fortress built by Herod. Yes, that Herod. And then whenever General Pompey and the Roman legions came in and started destroying Israel in AD 70, a bunch of people, the Jews, escaped and went to the fortress of Masada, which is quite literally up a cliff. And so to get to that fortress, you have to climb the mountains. Ultimately, the Romans in the post-New Testament era built an earthen ramp up to that place, but by the time they got to the fortress, according to Josephus, all of the people that had escaped there had committed suicide, knowing that they didn't want to be crucified, but they would rather take their own lives instead. While we're there, we'll go to another quote-unquote fortress type of village on top of the hills. It's the Essenes. The Essenes was a first century sect of Jews. I personally think that John the Baptist and Jesus were Essenes. There's a lot of great research on that. But the Essenes are most noted for, well, what we call the Qumran scrolls, or the quote-unquote Dead Sea Scrolls. And so we'll go there and we will see that. So on the left-hand side of your screen is Masada. That is a sheer, huge drop all the way down. You can see that little snake path that winds up there to the fortress. And then on the right-hand side is the city of Qumran, or the village of Qumran, which is where the Essenes were. And the Dead Sea Scroll caves, quote unquote, are actually off those cliffs. So if you were to rappel off the cliff, you'd be able to see the caves and access them. Of course, they've been emptied out, so we're not going to do that. It'd be really hard to get to and kind of dangerous. And I don't like heights. It's just true. But we'll talk about, while in the middle of the desert, not only Kfar Hotim, where we'll be staying, but we'll be talking about other really cool hidden gems, oases, because in between Masada and Qumran, if you go between the mountains, such as there on the left-hand side, you see, if you were to turn, you would see what you see in the middle and over on the right-hand side, this beautiful oasis, gorgeous water, and yes, you'd be able to jump in and go swimming with me. It's incredible. And so while we're there, we're going to be talking about how crucial it is that we know the springs of life and the way of life and things of that sort. And then also we'll be talking about the contrast of, if you're in the desert, how necessary water is and how necessary it is to know the blessings of God in your life. And so we'll read Psalms in both appropriate situations, and it'll be great fun as we do that. From there, we're going to go northward, as it were, and we're going to follow now from the patriarchal period into the Joshua Judges conquest period. And so we're going to go up to the Jordan River Valley, and then from there we're going to go up to the Sea of Galilee, like I have a great picture of here. And so as you see, we go up to point 9, 10, and then ultimately 11, 12, and 13. And so point 9 and 10 on the north shore of the Sea of Galilee, and then 10 is really where we think that Joshua and the children of Israel crossed the Jordan River. And so we'll go to that crossing. And then this is also, by the way, the spot that is believed to be where John the Baptist and the other Essenes were doing baptisms in the Jordan River. So should you desire to be re-baptized, though I don't think that's any kind of necessary thing, we can jump in the Jordan River and do that. But there's a cooler place to go swimming in the Jordan River, and I'll take you there as well. But we'll also go and look at Jericho. Yes, the walls that fell flat, and we'll go to Ai, or Ai, as you might know it as well. Both of those are right there by the Jordan crossing. And then we'll go a little bit further north, and we'll go by what is called the Pool of Sachne. The Pool of Sachne is that over on the left-hand side, and it's just beautiful. That in the middle on the screen is the Jordan River Valley, where the Jordan River comes from the Sea of Galilee, runs all the way down, goes by Jerusalem, and ultimately pours into the Dead Sea, but then becomes salt. It's a really interesting thing how that happens. And then on the right-hand side is this really cool village. I'm trying to remember which village this one is. Oh, it's Bet Shean. On the right-hand side is Bet Shean. It is a couple thousand-year-old Jewish village that the Greeks were living in, and so they also helped rebuild it. That's why you see some of those Greek-type columns there laying on the ground. But that road before us on that picture is quite literally a 3,000-year-old road, y'all. 3,000-year-old road. America's not even 300 years old. That's a 3,000-year-old road. So we're going to walk through places that I couldn't comprehend whenever I was walking on them, going, how is it that old? Because I'm an American kid. It's really hard to think about that. And so there at Bet Shean, the pool there of the Jordan River, should the Lord give us a good rain season next spring, by the time we get there, this is what we'll see. The Jordan River being full. That's the conquest crossing point. On the right-hand side in that photo is the territory where you go up one mountain, you go up the other mountain, you either get Ai or Jericho. And then there on the right-hand side is the Pool of Bet Shean. And so it's just beautiful. Sorry, Sachne, not Bet Shean. Sachne is the pool. It's just beautiful water. Again, super blue water that you just don't see in other places. After we go through the Jordan River Valley from the time of Joshua and Judges, we're going to go further north into what is called Joshua's third conquest, because Joshua conquested the center, then the south, and then went north. So we'll go to the north. We'll look at the northern conquest territory, the Judges time period, and of course, Jesus, because now we're in Galilee proper. This picture from in the background, that is the Church of the Mount of Beatitudes. This is the Mount of Beatitudes where I'm standing, taking a picture of the Sea of Galilee. And by the way, the Sea of Galilee, you can see every edge of it from anywhere. And so the fact that the boys feared their lives and thought that they were going to die out on that, it's a good-sized lake. It's not a sea. And you could doggy paddle that. Like, it's just hilarious that they were fearing. And it adds some great comedy to me reading that story. And you as well, as we will sit there and read it and go, really? Really? You were that afraid? While we're there on the northern shores, we're going to do a few things. One, I'm going to take you to Magdala. This is where Mary of Magdala is from. See, in our English Bibles, her name is Mary Magdalene, L-I-N-E. It's not her last name, it's her origin place. And so she's actually from Magdala. So we'll go to Magdala, which is an old Jewish town that is perfectly preserved. We'll go to a really well-preserved synagogue there. And more than likely, Jesus had been in that synagogue whenever he was on earth. And then while we're over there, we're going to go see a first century boat. This is what they call the Jesus boat, though I very much doubt that it's the boat that Jesus rode on. And no, we won't ride on it or use it, but we'll go and see it, which is really cool. And then I will offer you the chance to ride on an actual version of that they still use to this day on the Sea of Galilee. So we'll go out and we'll set sail on the Sea of Galilee for an evening cruise. It'll be beautiful, and we'll culminate the day swimming in the Sea of Galilee. Again, it's a desert. We need a lot of water in swimming time. When we're up there, we'll also go to a couple other places. The Golan Heights, which is the northern mountainous region. There's lots of stories that come to bear up there, and we'll talk about that. We'll go to Caesarea Philippi. And Caesarea Philippi is where what you see in the background of that photo there, that's actually what's called the gates of hell. For millennia before Jesus, the Philistines and the Canaanites had been sacrificing babies in these cavernous region here to their gods. And it is upon that rock that Jesus looks at Peter and he says, upon this rock I'm going to build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. The gates of hell is quite literally what this place is called. And so we'll go there, and it'll be a great aha moment, I hope, for you as it was for me. Then we're going to start heading south. And we'll go from the northern region. We'll take a long way to get back to Jerusalem because we're going to jump back over to the coast again and go swimming in the Med. Again, it's hot, it's desert. Mario likes to swim. So we'll go over to the Mediterranean. As you can see over there, we'll go to Haifa, and then we'll go to Caesarea, and then we'll head back down into Jerusalem. And so this in the background is Caesarea Maritimia, not Caesarea Philippi. This is Caesarea Maritimia, but on our way there, we're going to go through the valleys, and so we'll go through the valley of Megiddo, which you might know from Revelation. It is Har-Mageddon. Har means mountain, and Megiddo, so the mountain that is in the valley of Megiddo. And we'll walk through there, and we'll just try to imagine if indeed the valley were to fill with blood to the bridle of a horse about 4 foot high. How much blood would you need in that valley? It's a lot. It's a lot. And so we'll go there. We'll reflect on that text. We'll reflect on several other things that happen in there. And then we'll keep going westward all the way valley where it ends up, which is at Caesarea Maritimia, which is beautiful. Along the way, we will stop off in Nazareth. And we'll go to the Church of Nazareth, which is that one there in the background. It's beautiful. But more importantly, Nazareth actually has what is called Nazareth Village. And Nazareth Village has a group of Jews that are living there that still live in the first century lifestyle, wear the same clothing, zero electricity in their lives there. They're shepherds, they're oil makers, they're textile makers, etc. And in fact, that picture up there on the top left is a first century synagogue that's still in use. And so we will go into that old first century synagogue and think about what it was like to be in a synagogue with Jesus in that day and age, where Jesus sat in the seat of Moses. We'll take you and let you see that there as well. Then finally, as I've promised, because I wanted to get to the water, we're going to go back to the Mediterranean. We'll go to Caesarea Maritimia. It is a beautifully well-preserved city that Herod had built in honor of Caesar, hence it being named Caesarea. And there, as you can see in the background, that's not mine. I don't have the plane footage, so it's from Google. But nevertheless, you can see there the horse tracks. You can see it has this bay that's built there, and then behind where they took that Skycam footage is actually this beautiful, well-preserved open-air amphitheater that you see here on the bottom left-hand side. Whenever the wife and I were there last, we weren't able to go to the amphitheater. I think they were doing something over there, and so our guide didn't let us go. But hopefully, Lord willing, we'll go there. After we go to Maritimia and take a little dip in the Med and swim again, we will then head down to Jerusalem. Now, when we're in Jerusalem, we'll be there for several days at the same location, not moving about until ultimately we leave Israel. And so while we're in Jerusalem, we will be staying at this place, which is called Christ Church, Jerusalem. Christ Church, Jerusalem, originally, believe it or not, was a hospital built for English crusaders. They have taken the hospital wings that were there, which if you're looking at that picture in the top left-hand side, it's the building to the far left and the buildings on the far right of that top-hand picture. Those were the hospital wings, and they've converted those to being the dorm rooms that we will stay in. And then, of course, they rebuilt the chapel, which is that beautiful picture at the bottom. It is gorgeous. It's awesome. And one of the cool things about this church is that everybody that's there was an Orthodox Jew, but now is a Christ follower. Therefore, they are Messianic Jews. And so they often call this church the quote-unquote Jewish Protestant church. And so their primary mission is to share the gospel of Jesus with Jews. And so it's really cool how they do that. And we'll be there. The wife and I spent a lot of time in their courtyard. It's a nice, cool reprieve in the big city of Jerusalem. You'll enjoy that. Now, let's talk about what's important as Baptist kids care about: the food. There is amazing food in Israel. And so these are some photos that we had taken last we were there. On the top right-hand side is some baklava. If you don't know what baklava is, bless your soul, you're going to get some baklava. It is awesome. It's phyllo dough. It's sweet. They pack it full of nuts and fruits, dried fruits, etc. It's a good, I don't know that I would call it a dessert, but I guess it could classify as a dessert. It's great with a cup of coffee in the afternoon whenever you're taking reprieve in the courtyard. We're going to get some great lamb kebabs. They've got great spices and great herbs everywhere. In the bottom right-hand side, you're going to get the chance to get some Turkish delight on the bottom left-hand side. The greatest hummus that I've ever had in the world was there in Jerusalem, in the Palestinian territory of Jerusalem, in the Arab quarter, quote unquote. And I look forward. Honestly, that's one of the main reasons I want to go back to Israel is that hummus. I ate my weight in hummus with fresh pita. It is just phenomenal. So everywhere we go, we're going to be eating all these different things. Lord willing, whenever we go out with the Bedouins, we'll kill a goat and skin them and cook it. So we will get to see both old foods and new foods. Whenever we go to Nazareth Village, we will see the ladies making flatbread, which is what we should be using for communion, not the packing peanuts that we're often given at church. And so it's just going to be a delight. Everywhere we go, you get to eat so many great things that you probably can't find anywhere on earth. And if you can, it's not going to be as good because it's not the fresh ingredients there. When we're in Jerusalem, we're going to go through Jerusalem in chronological order, just as we've done everything else. So we will begin with the city of the king. We're going to go to the city of David is what it's called. Archaeological digs that have happened there. It's beautiful. We'll see the foundations of Solomon's temple. We can even let you climb into the baptismal pool from Solomon's temple. And yes, baptismal pool, Solomon's temple. You heard that. I will take you then up to the rooftop so you can see a panorama of the entire city of David. It's beautiful. And these are some of the sites there, the usual places that people want to go. On the left-hand side is the Kotel, which is, in English, we call it the Western Wall. And we'll go into the tunnels that go underneath the Temple Mount that you see there on the second photo. It's amazing how big these stones are. I cannot comprehend how they moved it. And in fact, engineers are still trying to figure that out. The third photo is the southern steps coming up from the city of David. I'll show you a picture of city of David in a second. Coming up from city of David, southern steps, it's called the Huldah Gate. And so if you've taken my prophets class, you know that Huldah is one of the great female prophets in the Old Testament. They named a gate going into the city after her, and it's been blockaded and concreted over by the Arabs. But nevertheless, we can walk up those stairs to that because, well, we know Jesus walked on the southern steps of the Temple Mount. And so literally, you'd be walking on places Jesus has walked. And then, of course, we'll take you up to the Temple Mount itself where the Dome of the Rock is. There are so many rules to get up there. The wife and I got yelled at for being too close together, for holding hands, for taking pictures. So I've learned what not to do. And so we will preempt you how to behave before we get there so that way you don't get in trouble with the Jordanian police who actually run the Temple Mount or the Israeli police who are just off the Temple Mount. Don't worry, we've learned the hard way how to do this. But on the left-hand side is the city of David, and a lot of the footprint that you see there down below me is actually the houses of the high priests that served during the time period of Solomon's temple, as well as they were in use during Herod's temple. On the right-hand side, again, is the city of David and going up to those beautiful southern steps that leads to the Huldah Gate. Also, famously, just off the Temple Mount where I'm standing, if you go around that corner, we will take you, as you see the picture of Becca standing in it, to the 5 different pools that would have been used as the baptismal pools in Acts chapter 2. Acts chapter 2, they baptized thousands of people. These are the very pools that they baptized after Pentecost. And so, of course, Becca and I climbed down there and raised our hands in vigor because it was an amazing sight to see. That on the right-hand side is the coolest little archaeological find that we found on a wall somewhere. That is actually the original Welcome to Jerusalem map in Greek, and it is a map of the Jerusalem city during the time of Jesus. And so it's kind of like the Welcome to our city signs that many of our towns and villages and cities have. While we're in Jerusalem, we'll also go to Yad Vashem. My wife and the baby will go and do something else because the baby is coming with us. She'll be 3 at that time. But Yad Vashem is the World Holocaust Museum. No children are permitted in there. I think you have to be 15 or 16 to get into Yad Vashem. It is tough. It's a hard place to walk through. I was great and I made it through most of the rooms until finally, and that's why I have that picture from my camera there. I made it to that last room, and that is called the Hall of Names. It's a 3-story room filled with pictures, and outside that little dome where I'm standing is actually bookshelves 3 stories high wrapping around this rotunda of handwritten names of Jews that were massacred during the Holocaust. I was good till I made it to that room. That room, whew, I actually want to cry right now just thinking about how powerful it is. And so I will be crying. It'll be okay. And you and I will make it together. But it is something that I think every human being on the planet needs to experience, regardless if you're a Christian or Jew or something else. I think everybody needs to see the World Holocaust Museum. We'll go to Bethlehem, of course, to the Church of the Nativity. And then we will come back into the city of Jerusalem and we will partake of a Seder Passover. That's the Lord's Supper, as it were. Going chronologically, then we will go from having a Seder. The next day, we're going to go to the Mount of Olives, of course, where the Garden of Gethsemane is, that Jesus was betrayed. This is a picture I snapped as we were walking across the valley going up there. There's lots of churches, great places to sit and contemplate and reread the story of the night of betrayal. And the olive trees on the Mount of Olives are quite literally older than Jesus. And so most of those trees were there whenever Jesus was there. And that's just something so hard to comprehend as an American kid. From there, after his betrayal, of course, he is sent to the grave. And so we will take you over to the tomb of Jesus. We'll go to two different tombs. We'll go to this one, which is called the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. It's the traditional site. I didn't really care that much for it, but nevertheless, we'll go there. And then I'll take you to another place that is called the Garden Tomb. It's not the tomb of Jesus. It's a tomb from the first century, but it's much akin to what it would have looked like in what Jesus was buried in. At some point in time, while we're in Jerusalem, also we're going to go to the Pool of Bethesda. It's only been dug up in the last 5-6 years, but where Jesus heals the lame man because he was waiting for the waters to be stirred. This is a great pool. They thought for the longest time it didn't exist and that it was made up in the New Testament, and then they found it. And so we'll go there at some point in time. So I just kind of have that over there from that as we do it. The last day that we're in Israel, we'll go to Joppa. Joppa, of course, is the most western port. This is the port where Jonah went out of. Joppa is now on most maps called Tel Aviv. Tel Aviv is Joppa, where Jonah left to try to go to the Spanish Riviera instead of to Nineveh. And so we'll look at that and we'll say the gospel goes out from Israel and proclaimed to the nations. Now, let's talk about some of the logistical stuff. One, the flight. We will not be able to purchase flights until September, October of this upcoming year in the fall. If we try to purchase them this far out, they're not even booking them this far out. So September, October, or November, we'll purchase our flights. Lord willing, they will be much more affordable as we get there. I'm hoping between $1,000 to $1,400 in cost. Maybe even less than $1,000. I doubt it, but $1,000 to $1,400 in cost. For the last couple of years, due to the war, only El Al, the Israeli Airlines, has been going in and out of Israel. But as of this year, there's been more going, like Lufthansa from Germany, Delta from the US, British Airways, Air France. They're starting to fly back over. And so, Lord willing, we'll be able to get in at a good rate for group at that point in time. So we'll purchase tickets whenever we get into the fall sign up. One of the things we also need to talk about, if we're going about all over the place in Israel every single night, you get to backpack it. So we are not checking luggage. Too many teams that go to Israel end up losing half of the luggage in transit because a lot of times we do have a layover. And for some reason or another, whenever you lay over going to the Middle East, your bags just go missing. So one, that's a good reason to do a backpack. Number two, roller bags do not work in Israel because the ground and the roads are cobbled. Come on, they're thousands of years old. What do you expect? And so it's just better to backpack it. And I actually will teach you how to how to pack your bag. And you can also have a smaller sling bag, like Becca and I have a sling bag like this one there, where you can keep your water, your Bible, your book that I assign, snacks, appropriate modesty apparel for whenever we go into holy places. Here's the packing list. It's on the PDF for the slides. If you were to get the PDF, don't worry. If you sign up for the trip, we will have a full meeting about how to pack. Our suggestion is that you wear what's called dry fit clothing. Like this polo that I'm wearing is dry fit. Imagine like sports athletic clothing where if it gets wet, you can shake it out, wring it out, and then hang it. What we actually do is we pack one of those empty soap bottles that you can get from Walgreens or Walmart with laundry detergent. And we just hand wash our clothes in the sink and then hang it over the shower bar. And by morning, because it's the desert and very dry, it's dry. And you can wear it the next day if you wanted, or you can wear another set of clothing that you packed with you. So pack light. because you have to carry your backpack everywhere. And then also it leaves you space for tchotchkes and souvenirs that you can buy from the really cool markets. Yes, the markets are just like you see in Aladdin, by the way. And so as we go, I've decided I'm going to actually write a book that is going to be our guidebook, but it's also going to be a journal. And because I want our people and you all that go with me to journal and record your thoughts as you go through. That's one thing that I wish I would have done, was just sat down and penciled what I smell, what I see, what I feel whenever I go to these places. Pencil down, man, I'm thinking about David, I'm thinking about, Barnabas, I'm thinking about whatever story at this point, and here's why. And then it's also going to have space for you whenever you come back to print out your photos from your phones and paste them in. Yes, your phones are permitted to come. No other devices, please. And when you have your phone in Israel, if you leave it in airplane mode, the maps actually still work. I don't know how, but my Google Maps on my Android phone still worked in Israel, even though my phone was turned onto airplane mode. And so we were able to find our way around the country via that, okay? And so if you do this for course credit, for undergrad or grad, I'm going to add more books for you to read and write a book review of, and a research paper that's going to be applying your readings upon one of the spaces that you went to. So you might write a paper about what you read of Bedouin culture and the Bedouin tent experience that you experienced down in Sinai with us. And so it's going to be a very easy, applicable concept for you to do. And I guarantee you will be able to write it with ease after going to Israel. So let's talk about cost. I'm estimating, Lord willing, that in total it'll cost $4,500, not including tuition. Okay, $4,500, not including tuition. If we get 24 or 25 people, the cost will drop down to $4,000, Lord willing. The dependency is flights, of course. Hopefully it'll drop from 45 down to 4,000 because Israel has already told me that the more people you have, the cheaper it'll go. But I don't want to bring too many people, thus it's capped at 25, not including Becca and I and Lena. But these costs cover your flight. It covers your hotel stays. It covers 3 meals a day in food. It covers all of your entry fees to get into museums, to go into archaeological sites. And it also covers our tour guides that we need at certain places and times that are specialists in that area, okay? So it sounds like a lot of money, and I understand as a college student, it is a lot of money. But this is much cheaper than what most of my friends charge to go to Israel whenever they lead trips. What you can do if you're a student is it will be charged to your student account, and if you have scholarships, or if you have tuition helps, or if you have a student loan, all of those can help pay for this trip. If you need more money on your student loan to help pay for the trip, you will have to talk to your student loan officer in order to do that. But it is 100% possible. I've gotten that approved. Lastly, if your spouse is coming, or if you are an alumni yourself, or your staff or faculty and you want to go to Israel, we will set up an account payable for you here at OBU. And just like the students, you will be charged monthly leading up to the trip. So in August, by August 30th, we have to have a $500 deposit. And then every subsequent month, from September to December, there will be a $1,000 amount put onto your account that has to be paid. Either paid by your loan, paid by your scholarships, or paid by you in cash on your account, okay? I hope that was informative enough. If y'all have more questions, please reach out to me, email me, call me, whatever the case is. Y'all know how to get a hold of me. My faculty webpage is up. It's easy to find. This is a QR code that you can scan, and it'll take you to my Google Doc where you can apply to go on the trip. It's going to ask you maybe about 16 questions. Who are you? Are you student, alumni, grad student? If you're a current student, what's your GPA? Why do you want to go to Israel? Are you comfortable around guns? Because there's a lot of Israeli military everywhere, and that's good. They keep us safe. So go through that, apply please, and Lord willing, we need 14 people, not counting the wife and I. We need 14 people to make Israel trip happen, at the least, and at the most 25. And so if you're interested, please go ahead and start saving your pennies, apply. and reach out to me and let me know that you've done so. All right. I hope y'all have a good rest of the day. Bye, y'all.